We are Coffee and Tea, and today we're gonna be doing our August wrap up.
That's a wrap up.
Yep.
Okay, so this is the list of books that we finished on August. We're completely leaving away anything that we finished early September. We are recording this in September, so anything before August 31st falls on this list. Okay, so my wrap up is very short, so I'm gonna go first. First of all, for August, when we did our readathon, which hopefully you guys will get to see the video soon, I finished The Darkest Minds by Alexandra Bracken. I am looking at my Goodreads. Yes, that is happening. So this book was amazing. But I have been reading so much that, to be quite honest, character names are mixing each other. Very much so. However, I did love the work. I loved everything about it. Technically, I do have some notes, but they're like tiny notes for myself, where I like made mental notes of like the main character being the actual love child of like Mayor and Cal from like Red Queen, because of her decision making was just out of this world. It was like, how do you come up with that? That's not okay. So I have like tiny notes. Do I remember what the names were? No, because I'm a horrible reading person and I don't remember things. To be fair though, I finished this book at like 2 in the morning in our readathon. So I had no sleep. I had worked a full day the day prior. So to be fair, yeah. Anyway, moving along. My next book for my August wrap up is This Darkness Mine by Minnie McGuinness. I actually listened to the audiobook for the book. I loved it. I adored it. It is just... It is the first book from Minnie McGuinness I have read. I do have The Female of the Species somewhere. It's in my hopefully soon TBR. But this is technically the very first book I have read and finished from her. It was mind-blowing. I also finished this book during our readathon at like 1 p.m. while I was cooking dinner. And I am literally with like my like beater and my spoons in hand, just looking at Yani and going, can you believe what she is doing right now? Oh my god, it is just such a mind screw. It is insane. I recommend it. It will take you for a ride, and especially now that we're entering like September, October, November, those like suspensey, mystery, screwy months where everyone's like in a mood for like horror and mystery and suspense because of October being so close. I totally recommend that book. For my third book, and my very last, I did have a very short reading month. Technically 3 books is like a goal for me, but I have Caraval by Stephanie Garber. I finished it right before August ended on the 28th. It is amazing. The book follows, this I remember, it's still fresh in my head. The book follows the story of Scarlett and her sister Donatella. They have been, at least Scarlett has been craving to go into Caraval, which is basically just like, it does have, from what I've heard, very Night Circus-y vibes. I haven't read Night Circus yet, but basically, you know, she's been wanting to go. She's been writing to the master of Caraval for a while, and on her very last letter, she basically resigns to the idea that she won't be going to Caraval. She is getting married. She is doing what she needs to do to keep her and her sister safe from all the horrors that follow her in her homeland. So what happens is they end up actually getting tickets to Caraval, 3 of them. One for her and her sister, one for her future fiance, who happens not to go to the game because they end up running into basically this little scoundrel, very hot scoundrel, Julian, and they embark on land And then she realizes that Caraval is just this magical place, but it's also twisted and full of secrets. And it is just a wild ride. It does have moments where they're literally like very cliche-ish. Scarlet can be a slightly cliche, overbearing, overprotective protagonist, especially with the sister relationship. But book focuses so much in doing things for you rather than for others, and living for yourself, and so much on sister bonds. It is just a very amazing book. That one I did read. That one I did enjoy. That one I remember. There's your non-spoilerish review. Ta-da!
Okay, for me, we did the 24-hour readathon. So I ended up reading 5 books that day. So, the first book I read and finished was Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie, and it is a classic. Everybody knows what Peter Pan is about, the boy that never grew up, but I forgot how screwed up this book actually is. Like, if people think like, oh, I saw the movie, that's fine. Never. It will never compare to the book. This book I actually read before for an English children's literature class that I took in college. And yeah, this book was done in an era where fairy tales were gruesome, and yeah, that's all you really need to know about it. It's very screw up. It's not a happy Peter Pan type of book. There's murder, there's gruesome stuff that you realize, and yeah, I don't want to give too much spoilers if you haven't read the book, but it is a mind blown. And I knew that going into the book, but I totally forgot how screwed up it was. I was like, oh my god, I hadn't read this book in so long. I can't believe I forgot how screwed up it was. But anyways, continuing on before I keep rambling. My second book was Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare. It is, I mean, everybody knows what Romeo and Juliet is about. Kids falling in love from opposite family, drama. But I love it. It was kind of one of those books that I didn't know how the other readings were gonna go, so those were the books I picked up to be a little bit more mellow. Then I forgot how Peter Pan was, and I took like 5 hours reading a tiny book because I was like, this book is so screw up. I can't.
Also, it doesn't help. It was like 3, 4 in the morning when that book was being read.
Yeah. The next book was That Summer by Sarah Dessen. It was my first Sarah Dessen book that I read. I liked it. It was really charming, really cutesy. Also very like realistic. Not everything is happily ever after type thing, and I really like that. I don't remember a lot about the book that I can tell you, other than the general idea and feel of it. Because again, I only slept that day for like an hour and a half.
You didn't sleep. It wasn't a smart plan.
And the day before, I had to wake up early, so that means I was over 24 hours up that day. So yeah, it was hard. We didn't plan that completely. The next book I finished, which is gonna be right here. It was Only for Him by Christine Harbour, and this book I actually had like started, and I was only like 5 minutes in. It was an audiobook, because I do have the Audible romance package, and it was one of the packages. Actually, I had selected the book for a the previous summer romance readathon that I was doing but I was camping, so I didn't get to all the books. So I was like, this is a good short book. It's only 5 hours. I can get through it between times when I need to rest. And I did that. It was my last book. It's about Grayson and Emma. They've been friends forever. They've been really close, but she didn't really know what he was going through at home, and once you find out, and it's about their love stories pretty much. I don't want to get too much into details because there's a lot but it's pretty much about this. Emma has always been in love with Grayson, and he was her brother's best friend, and yeah, and it's their relationship and how it came about, what happened. Also, this book I read Only for Her and Only for Us, which is book 2 and 3, which are really fairly short books, and I read them and Only Forever, which are the fourth book, and I finished that story. I really like it. It was very cute, uplifting. Yeah. Other than that, the other book that I read, which was an adult book, it was Propositioned by the Billionaire Moose by Eve Langley, which I love Eve Langley as an adult writer. I have read a lot of her work.
With a moose? Moose?
Is a shapeshifter.
Okay, I was very confused. I was like,
if I can speak, shapeshifter book, and it is about a girl. She is a shapeshifter. She's a feline shapeshifter. I don't remember exactly what she was at this point because it was a while ago. And pretty much there's this guy who's a moose billionaire shapeshifter, and
Mooses have it better than I do. I can't believe this.
And he needs to get married because his grandfather is basically dying, and he needs to inherit. He has to get married because someone came up, and apparently is a family too. So there's this small competition. Whoever gets married and has children first will get the inheritance type thing. Even though the main character has always been working towards this, and he actually has been working in that company from the bottom up and learn everything. And it's about that and stuff that happens, and it has twists and turns, and a little bit of sexy scenes, not that much, but it's a cute, very interesting adult romance book. The other two books I read this year. The first one
this
is
month. I hope you're reading more this year.
Well, considering I already read 272 books this year. That's why my memory is kind of fuzzy sometimes when it comes to books. I am reading more than my brain can process sometimes.
I don't even know how much I read. I'm gonna go look.
Anyway, this last book was, before last book, it was Sisters of Blood and Spirit by Catty Cross. I love Catty Cross. She's the author of the Steampunk Chronicles. I love the Steampunk Chronicles. I love it. I love her.
I didn't know about this.
I
feel betrayed.
I'm sorry. It's a book I read way before I knew you. I'm sorry.
I feel betrayed.
which actually haven't yet finished the Steampunk Chronicles, but I have read the first
I'm
few
adding
books.
that on my list.
This book is about two sisters. One is dead, one is alive, and it pretty much starts off she coming back from school, trying not to give too much spoilers, but she comes back to school after she's been on what's it called? Sanitarium? Not house? Whatever you want to call it.
Asylum?
Asylum. There we go.
You're welcome.
After she's been in a sanitarium, asylum, however you want to call it, because again, nobody believes her that her sister is alive, and she's the only one that can see her sister. Cause
sounds like This Darkness Mine, but more supernatural.
And I'm sorry.
And less heart-wrenching.
And this is the first book. There's a second one. It's about the relationship of her and her sister. Her not trusting anybody. She meets a group of kids that are going through some stuff, and she's the only one that can help them. And it's about her and her sister helping these kids, finding people, friendship, and all that. And yeah, it has a lot of things going on, and it deals a lot of her thinking at the beginning that she should be the one dead, not her sister, and dealing with the consequences of her actions. Going into the ghosty vibey, I finally finished a book that I've been reading for like at least 2 years now.
Wow, and I thought I was bad.
Which is Ashes to Ashes by Jenny Han and Sobian Vivian. And I love this book. I can't tell you a lot about this book because, again, this is the third book on the series, on the Burn to Burn series. And I love this series. It's been on my favorite forever. But I haven't finished the third book because it is a very contemporary looking video, and there's gonna be a small spoiler alert here, so mute it for like 5 seconds or when I do this again.
Spoiler alert. This is our new spoiler alert warning.
Anyways, in the second book, towards the end, you find out that one of the main characters is actually a ghost. So it is about Lillian, Kat, and Mary, and they want to get revenge, and that's what unites it. It has a very contemporary vibe. It has a very kind of pretty little liars, strong girls trying to get revenge type of vibe. So if you like any of those books or anything like that, just pick it up. It's really good. I love anything by Jenny Han, and yeah, that's all I read this month.
And that wraps up August for us.
And that's all for today. Remember to follow us on social media. Our social media is down below. So
we can speak. We promise.
So yeah. See you in the next one. Bye bye.
Bye bye.